First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Vahashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Korash means holy. And that's on the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. And this video, I'm going to go into how these false prophets out here are going to have a rude awakening when that chip comes. And this video was inspired. I was watching, the brothers out there in Dallas, GMS Dallas, Remnant 144. And, the spirit was on me just listening, and they were going into how, you got these groups such as IUIC that talk about how the mark of the beast is not the chip. Right? They talk about how the mark of the beast is sin. Right? You even got another group that says that the mark of the beast is sleeping with white women. So, these people are all the hell bugged out. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that they're going to have a rude awakening, and they're going to have to do a lot of explaining when that chip gets made mandatory. Because how it's looking, everything is going that way. Right, recently, you had this whole thing go down with the Genius Act, the Genius Bill, which is essentially the government is making it so financial companies or companies in general are going to be able to push their own digital currencies. And, that right there is all leading to the digitization of the world. And the chip is essentially, going to be part of that. And you had Donald Trump come out talking about how, I love that act. I love the Genius Bill. We got to support that. We got to go with this digital thing. And he was full on go. And the craziest part is that here it is, 1 year ago, Donald Trump was coming out talking about how, I'm going to push a anti-CBDC bill and I'm not going with that digital dollar and none of that. And here it is. He's completely flipped the script. He's saying, let's go with the digital dollar, digital stable coins. And, that's infuriating people. Okay, it's infuriating people right now worldwide, especially here in America. The fact that this president was talking, I'm going to do this and that. But as soon as he comes into power, he does the opposite. And you find that that is the case with every single president. And the reason why is because they are not the ones in control. Okay, the ones in control are the elites. Okay, and these presidents are selected, not elected, and they're just puppets. Okay, they do as they're told. So that's what you see what's happening right now. Okay, Donald Trump is pushing the digital dollar plan, which is ultimately the mark of the beast chip plan. So I'm going to read this in Revelation 13 and start at verse 14. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. Or actually, I'll start at verse 11 just to go into the context. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right, and that beast is going into this beast system. Okay, primarily dealing with NATO, the European Union, and America. And it says he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The two horns is symbolic for the left and the right system. So you got your Republicans, your Democrats, two wings, or they call it the left wing and the right wing, but they're both part of the same bird, right? Two horns, but they're both part of the same lamb. Okay, they're both controlled. It says, and he spake as a dragon, going into how this system or this government rules, okay, with power by the sword. It says, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Right, the first beast is dealing with the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, America exercises all the power of the ancient Roman Empire, going into how we follow the exact same things that they used to do. Okay, when you look at the political, okay, you look at the structures, you look at just in general, okay, the entertainment system, the bread and circus, everything in America is based off ancient Rome, right? That's the exercising of the first beast, right? Which said, whose deadly wound was healed, right? Because the first beast was wounded to death, right? The ancient Roman Empire fell. That was the wound. but it was healed by the way of this new beast. By the way of America, NATO, and EU, okay, Rome has been healed. Okay, we are living in the reborn Roman Empire. It says, and he doeth a great wonder, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Right, and that deceiving, okay, by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. So that's going into how they're going to deceive the masses by the way of this technology. Okay, and the biggest, deception is going to be that chip. Okay, specifically, the Neuralink. The way that they're going to be able to perform all types of miracles on blind people. The craziest one I heard was how they're going to have it so people that have never even seen, born blind, are going to be able to see for the first times in their lives. So imagine that. Imagine how, appealing that would be. Somebody telling you, you've never seen in your life, put this chip in your brain and we can make you see. And it actually works. Hey, that right there is going to get a lot of people on board. And just imagine all the other innovations that they're going to come forth with. So that's the part of the deceiving, because they're telling you, oh, it's good, take it. But if you take it, they're not telling you that you're getting sealed for utter destruction. If you take that chip, you have no chance for salvation. And it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast shall both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast shall be killed. Right? So if you don't worship the image of the beast, which the image of the beast, their image, what they're striving for is the NWO. Okay, their whole 2030 agenda of full control. If you don't bow down with that, bow down to all their commands and, conforming to society, they're going to just get rid of you. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right? So that mark in the right hand or in the forehead that everybody's going to have to take to be part of the system is talking about the chip. Okay? And it's plain as day now. It's not sin, as IUIC says. The mark of the beast is not sin. Okay? Because how do you buy and sell with sin? That's something that they can never answer. And it's definitely not sleeping with white women. That's the craziest one I've ever heard. Okay, the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. And these false prophets, are going to have to pay up for what they're doing. These false prophets out here, starting with these Israelite groups that are going off, just teaching all types of broken-ass doctrines, they're going to pay, and it's going to be in a very humiliating way. I'm saying that first and foremost. The Lord is going to make these false prophets pay because they know better and they still don't change. So I just wanted to say some quick words on that. Stay on point, because the scriptures talk about how, we're not supposed to be thrown off, by the slightest point of doctrine. Let's get that in. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14. It says that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, where they lie in wait to deceive. Okay, and that's what's happening right now even more, as these prophecies pass, is that these men, are coming up with their own cunning doctrines and just making shit up as they go and deceiving, a lot as they, just keep pushing their madness. So being in the truth, knowing Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, you're supposed to be able to see through all the bullshit and not be tossed, as the wind. Tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. You got to be rooted in Yahushai. So I'll leave that there. Quick video going into stay on point, stay grounded. And the mark of the beast is the chip. Okay, not no damn sin. Hopefully this is edifying. With that, to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.